we have got a Q&A session if anybody wants to ask anything. To start us off, there are some that have been posted in the Q&A channel. So I think I can answer a couple of those quite quickly. The first is, how long does it take to set up Fusion from scratch? It is easy. It's very quick. Obviously, the difficult work in Click is already done. So in actual fact, we can set up Fusion with a Click instance in days rather than weeks. I think that's probably the best way to put that. Amit has asked us if we'll be sharing the recording. In fact, I think this is going to be a YouTube video. So yes, you'll be able to have a look at it again and share it with colleagues, and Marcus and I's children will be able to look at it and torment us about it as well. The third question is for Richard. So Richard, did you encounter any pushback from specific teams or users, or was it as easy as it sounded? Maybe, without calling out your colleagues, were there any teams that were particularly tricky?
Yeah. So inevitably there is some pushback. We do get pushback. It wasn't too bad. I mean, I think we got a reasonably broad acceptance fairly quickly. There is still we still have and we had quite a long time, the sort of Excel culture. I want to have it all in my Excel spreadsheet, and I've got it locally, and I'm, managing it, which was always a bit of a challenge. And, we all know that in Excel, you can do things that you can't necessarily do in a BI tool, but similarly, there's a lot that BI tools do that you can't do in Excel. I think there were really I come back actually to that main thing of if you can get your exec team to buy into it and look at the top level numbers, and it says, this is the number of discharge summaries that have not been sent. I'm seeing it on my report, and actually I then break it down by directorate and down to specialty and whatever. Then it drives people to go and use that report, because their number may not tie up with the number that you're showing. As long as you get it as you're the single version of truth, which is that buying in from the exec, you then get them. Everyone else sort of has to use it to some extent, and I think that's good. You do need to make sure the data quality is good, because if you're giving them false numbers, so there's a lot of work more in terms of getting the data right than it is in terms of developing the apps and the models and the Fusion stuff. So I think those are things. I think the other thing we do sometimes, that people say, well, I want to take the data and I want to use it in Excel to add data to it, information to it. And we're using the Click tool to generate those Excels now, so that people are coming back to a consistent set of data. So yeah, it's not all plain sailing, but it is broadly accepted across most of the organization now. So yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. A couple more questions before we wrap up.
Can I chip in actually, because there's one of the questions we have answered. There was a second extra bit on the end of that that's just worth picking up as well, just very briefly. So that was about whether whether you have to install anything locally. So Fusion Portal is a SaaS tool, so there is no install. It is literally it is purchase, setup, configure, and it integrates with directly with ClickSense Cloud behind the scenes and securely. And obviously we can share all of the details behind all of that. We're not storing any data. We are, in effect, we're integrating and interfacing with ClickSense Cloud, and it's up to you organizationally what you want to share with whom. If it's an internal use case, then obviously it's within the walls of your organization. But we've got lots of customers who are global organizations who are sharing analytics at scale through our tool, through Fusion, with Click behind the scenes to business partners, to supply chain, and that type of thing as well. But there is nothing to install locally. That was a little bit that we missed on the first question, David.
Okay. You've just touched there, Marcus, on external use cases. Can it be used for external use cases? I mean, it's a big yes to that. It's great for sharing with customers, partners, key suppliers. We do a huge amount of work in there. I don't know if you can mention any, Marcus.
I'll probably get shot if I mention exact names, but let's say major global automotive manufacturers, for example, doing fleet management portals for their third-party fleet hire organizations that do business with them in that part of their business. That's an example. We've got other examples of large, very major retailers that are also then sharing insights at scale with their supply chain, helping to drive better business. So more informed sharing with the supplier insights about stock movements and that type of thing, the performance of the supplier's products. There's a couple of examples without naming any actual names.
Okay, no, yeah, thank you for that, and thank you for being so diplomatic. The one question we've got remaining is for you, Richard. So a couple of questions in one, really. But by creating a report for one group of users, and you engage them, what happens when those users have got multiple expectations? You know, how do you handle the example here? One person's meat is another person's poison. How do you handle that?
Yeah, yeah, you know, you will always have some of those sort of fundamental problems, whatever you're doing. I think one of the things I would say is that I will take the same data and I will build, you know, a report for one user group that will be a particular, you know, dumbed down or exec view, and another one that's much more detailed. And I'll put the relevant reports into each of their menu sections. If you have two users of the same group who want to have different views, yeah, you have to sort of, you know, if they're both service managers and they have a different view of how they want to see it, you gotta sort of compromise to some extent on that. But certainly tailoring reports for the actual audience you're looking at. So at present, I'm building one that is very much a high level exec one, very simplistic. You know, what's the performance over time, drill down into directorates and specialties. It's designed that way. I've got other ones that are real detailed. Here are all the values, here are all the patients involved and all of that sort of stuff. So it's, you know, you design for the audience. Sorry,
Awesome.
if I may come back on the zero client thing, that was a real, you know, thing for us. You know, I didn't want any of my data sitting outside the Click environment, and that's what the beauty of Fusion is it is really just calling the APIs. It's an interface that does that dynamically for me. It's like using Click, but in a front end structure that really works for me.
No, that's a really nice way to sum things up, Richard. Thanks a lot. So I think we can wrap up the webinar now. I think we've answered all the questions, and it falls to me to say thanks hugely to both our speakers, Marcus and particularly you, Richard, for joining us from Great Ormond Street. So to wrap up, I'd like to just summarize, if that's okay. So what we've heard generally is that Fusion is a great way to deliver Click adoption, and we saw that organizational engagement at Kosh. It also does this through those predefined dashboards that Marcus showed us. And we heard, I think, importantly, that it can be rolled out very quickly, you know, days rather than weeks, which was me. Anyway, so two big wins for any Fusion-powered organization, I think. Much greater value from your Click cloud license estate, because you get that adoption and engagement. But more than that, you know, what does that give you? What's the business benefit? I think it's you get more people having the capability to make better, faster decisions, and that has got to be good for the organization, and it will deliver performance improvements. So thanks ever so much for joining us. And if there are any next steps that you'd like us to take with you, then that would be most welcome. The best thing you can do is reach out to your Click partner, and between them and Cat Cloud, we can set something up, and we could even take your Click objects, your data, and surface that in a Fusion environment to give you a tailored demonstration. Other than that, just to say thank you for joining us, and any questions arising, please feel free to reach out. Thanks, and I hope everybody has a fabulous weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.